This is strong, dramatic beginning because real history also places Urhan at the center of thinking. The third truth is that the viewer are right to love the spectacle and right to question it. Many fans praise the return of Ottoman world, the music, the banner, the courage, the family lines, and the ideas Muslim leader leading towards betrayal, sudden rescues, and also the banner, the courage showing the loyalty and criticism without love become a noise. The story of Kurlish Urhan begin with a weight, not noise, because Urhan is not entering an empty stage. Urhan stand at the edge of two worlds. One edge is sharper and one edge is a straighter. When it moves like he is moving against his enemies, he is moving against his strategical opponents, it is a different game, a different mind scenario. According to the perception, Urhan stand horse riding beside the tent and then move towards Malan Hatun, measuring every word like a judge. According to the historian, and the Bursa place where betrayal becoming a chain of duel. Sabr is not a weakness. Patience is not the according to the disciplined patient. The power to wait until the right gates open. For the viewer who wants faith, logic, history together. The strongest version of this scene would let Urhan ask not to remember about the faith. He is about to ask, this is the place where the series can touch the soul without turning into a sermon. When the series moves from Kurlish Usman to Urhan series, the whole meaning of victory changes. The mood can be built through the call to prayer floating over a camp that has not slept, while awareness trapped between loyalty and also faith and about to birth. Longing remind us that the history always made people great. If we are thinking about the strategy moving towards a greatness, moving towards according to the perception, that is the thing defeat can away. The thing that is people are thinking about, he is the copy of Osman Bey. He is the person who took fight against Osman Bey. That the enemies of Osman Bey are the enemies and the opponent of Urhan Bey. Actually, the people who hate Osman Bey are those who continue their hate with the real son of Osman Bey, Urhan Bey. But the deeper story is your responsibility. Imagine rain on the stone on the Byzantine wall. And then imagine sorrows using the walls of Bursa if stone could defeat destiny. Between these two images, the story finds its pulse. In the series line, Nilofer is not only a romantic softness. She is the whom Urhan must protect while he asks to break the wall. In the logic of history, that drama must connect the strong emotion with the chain of love with the real pressure of Urhan age, not leave it floating as an isolated episode. Historically, Urhan is remembered not only for conquest but patient work. Urhan is always remembered as the warrior, as the leader, as the critical thinker, as he is the man who led many victories. He is the man who led many plans for the state. He tries to bring unity. He tries to bring different nations or different tribes under his banner. He wants historical victories that can morally took the faith of people above its political lines. He thinks that bringing people towards the victory can bring people together. The only Urhan historical perspective, Urhan is remembered not only for conquest but for the patient work of state building towns, markets, law, soldiers, judges, and public order. This is the fact matter because it stops the story from becoming only a chain of betrayals and duels. He is giving the new side towards grief, marriages, and also he was thinking about the political campaigns according to the perception of that thing that politically available. For a viewer who wants faith, logic, and history together, the strongest version of this scene would let Urhan ask not simply how to defeat his enemy, but what kind of man he becomes while defeating him. He should remember Usman Bey without copying every gesture, because a son who only imitates his father never fully receives inheritance. He was a political game changer in Ottoman history. The first Sultan who took risks, who took the game away from his opponent, took away the game from his enemies. Enemies think he's the better than his father. Many enemies, many opponents admire Urhan Bey because they think the perspective is different at that era. Because when the things are moving fastly towards the future, Urhan Bey took the point of every generation inherits a dreams. He inherits the dream of his grandfather Arthur Ghazi and his father Osman Bey. Osman Bey wants to make the victory and conquest of Bursa. And that dream come true in the era of Urhan Bey. Every generation must pay for the dream in its own language. Yes, that is quite a different statement because no generation wants his ancestors to be shamed, to be like feeling unfulfilled desires. Always the next generation wants to make their ancestors who are in a graveyard proud. People think their generation is a quite different and amazing. The scene can open with a banner like leaving a promise, then move toward the road from Sogod to Bursa. Because the outside world and the inner side world together speakingly. In the series, like Women's, like Malan Khatun gives the side of political meaning instead of leaving it a decoration piece in the part-time thinking. In a language of drama, the drama must connect the real and raw emotion of that instead of leaving it towards the floating on isolated episode. Historically, Urhan is remembered not only for conquest but for the patient work of state building, towns, soldiers, public orders, law, alps, judges, advisors, and also critical analysts who make what kind of important things. This fact matters because it stops the story from becoming only a chain of duels and betrayals. The historian watches the show with two eyes. One eye enjoy the scene, while the other asks what kind of memory the scene is creating. The historian, the question is not only who wins today, but what kind of order will exist after the winning is done. The Quranic command of justice means the anger against enemies cannot become permission for blindness. For a viewer who wants faith, logic, and history together, the strongest version of this scene would let Urhan ask not simply how to defeat his enemy, but what kind of man he becomes while defeating him. He should remember Usman Bey without copying every gesture, because a son who only imitates his father will never fully receive any kind of inheritance and appreciation. The things are different. The pattern of Urhan Bey watching is worth watching, because he carries a sword in one hand and a state in another. Yes, the thinking is great, and he wants people to more enjoy the political and also the economical situation. He handles every situation very well. He wants people to create a great impact. He thinks every should people create a Kurdish Usman was a fire that announced a state. Yes, the coins are made in the Kurdish Usman era. Politically, and the system of judicial is made under Usman Bey. Kurdish Usman after the Kurdish Urhan must be in hands that protects that the fire from wind. In a visual term, the silent face of Usman, the old age meets unfinished duty, should not use only a decoration. It should prepare the viewer for the narrow waters, the later open path to Rumelia. And in the series line, Flavius works as a mirror because his wound is personal, but the battlefield want the path to Rumelia. Actually, the things matter. Against the critical series line, Flavius works as minor, as a mirror, because his wounds is personal, but the real pressure of Urhan age not leave it floating as an isolated episode. Historically, Iznik, known to the Byzantine as Nicaea, came under Ottoman control in 1331, as the Bursa came under the control of Urhan Bey in 1324. Actually, the things matter differently. According to the perception, a conquest without discipline becomes distraction. But discipline without courage becomes sleep. The hadith about intentions make for a viewer that is particularly according to the situation. Aspurcha, Flavius, Saros, and Yeat work best. That reveals the duels, betrayals, characters such as pressure and around Bursa, Byzantium, succession and palace politically for the exist of shock. A conquest without the difference intentions for a viewer who wants faith, logic, history together become while only imitates the things his father never fully received the inheritance. The viewer should leave the scene feeling the victory if only half matter. That is a particular the thing the viewer should have leave the scene feeling that victory is only half matter, the other half is accountability before God and the people. The latest episode make the audience feel the story is no longer only a siege outside Bursa. but a siege inside the heart of Urhan himself. The mood can be built through Urhan's hand. Resting near a sword, he does not rush to draw, while the dust of horses rising beside the tents reminds us that history is always made by the people, not by scenery alone. In the series line, Saros is strongest when represent Byzantine fear, not when he is merely another villain who shoot and shouts against density. That is the destiny. Sharper truth is the drama must connect this emotion with the real pressure of Urhan age, not leave it floating as an isolated episode. Historically, Urhan dealt with Byzantium not only by sword but also the diplomacy, the marriage ties, temporary alliance, especially in the struggle around John Cantacuzène's the real Urhan become more interesting when the fact matters because it stops the story from becoming only a chain of duels and betrayals. It becomes the chain of thinking. The Quranic commands, while logic against enemies cannot become permission for blindness. For a viewer who wants faith, logic, history together, the strongest version of this scene would let Urhan ask not simply because we are taking the things away, Usman Bey, without copying every gesture. That is because a son only imitates father in a sword fighting, the archery, the horse riding style. But the thinking pattern is always different from his father because taking decisions according to the situation is not only according to the plans, he is only according to the theoretical consequences. Characters such as the story of Kurlish Urhan should begin with the weight. Few episodes left into the season, and the Malanatun and placed Avernus and Fatma under the cruel shadow of Ijit Bey. The series becomes stronger when the drama must connect this emotion with the real pressure of Urhan's age, not leave it floating as an isolated episode. Historically, the earliest Ottoman's period is difficult because many accounts were different according to the situation where evidence is thin. This is why the fact matters because it stops the story from becoming only a chain. He should remember Usman Bey without copying every gesture because a son who only imitates the things. Urhan Bey stands at the edge of two worlds, that the shadow is sharper, the edge is a greater plane. The latest public trail points to episode 24 and the episode 23 aired on a different ages. The breaks between different ages, a different dates, that according to the situation when people want to see the things, a horse can carry a man to the gate. Yet, it cannot decide whether he deserves to enter. Tawakkal means trusting the Allah as Urhan must plan as well as pray for a viewer who wants faith, logic and history together. The strongest version of this scene would let Urhan ask not simply because how to defeat his enemy, but what kind of man becomes while defeating the things according to the situation. The beauty of the story is Alauddin Ali Bey carrying the reason. Like a lamp in the storm should not be used as a decoration. It should prepare for the viewer for Urhan, hand resting near a sword. He does not rush to draw. In the series line, he is politically different. The earliest period of difficult because many accounts were written later. So a fair script must speak with confidence while it is giving the command to everyone. The audience wants a pure rejection from the thing that commanding a different way, a different animes. He should ask further for the Usman Bey. The mood can change, build Boran Bey, remembered as a wound inside the army. While Malan Hatun measuring everything closely, her single gaze can give a challenge and a warning. In the series line, the Ghazi spirit gives you the story heat. Early Ottoman growth was also tribal, political, economical, diplomatical. A balanced criticism would say that the drama must connect this emotion with the real pressure of Urhan age, not leaving it floating as an isolated episode. Historical, the earliest Ottoman period is difficult because many accounts were written later. So a fair script must be in a different way because many scripts lost at that time. The historians sometimes taking the guess or sometimes taking the reality towards the close a few left scripts of at that time. According to the situation, a simple viewer may see the banners, Horses, animes, and about the responsibility which is taking to the deeper story. Imagine Fatma standing between love and family honor. And then imagine Boran remembered as a wound inside two particular things: market, taxis, need judges, and the safety of the Alps. This is why the drama must connect with the real raw emotion, with the real pressure of Urhan age, not floating towards the viewer's faith, logic, and history together, because it is the critical thinking that made a political campaign for the things that is made for the balance outer self according to the situation where everyone is looking in a different way. Every generation inherits dreams, yet every generation must pay the things according to the situation. Saroz in the series line Izmit closes to the circle around northwestern Anatolia and proves the patience can be strategy. At the same time, drama must connect this emotion with the real pressure of Urhan age, not leaving the Nicomedia things. The Izmit, historically Iznik in 1331, followed the Nicomedia in 3037. A conquest without discipline becomes a little bit of a distraction. That is, patience is not a weakness. Situation according to the critical way history together, the strongest version of this scene would let Urhan Bey ask critically the siege of outside the Bursa, but the siege inside the heart of Urhan Bey himself. The mood can be built through using Saroz and Flavius, the walls of Bursa, according to the defeat of the destiny. A cold political vision, fighter, reckless memory, historian watches. The balance is where Urhan can become is that the trusting Allah's only plan is pray for his praying according to the situation and according to the present thinking. The story of Kurlush Urhan should begin with a little bit weight, not according to the struggles around John Cantacuzenius. He should remember Urhan Bey is not copying Usman Bey in every way. He is taking the dreams according to the situation. He is taking the dreams according to the plans. The beauty of this story that this is not only about the son taking the place of his father. In visual terms, the market's city waiting for a new master should not be used only as a decoration. It is using the things according to the Allah Hadith intention. Reminds the viewer the same sword may be lifted justice for the ego. When the series moves from Usman to Urhan, the whole thinking that is in it a critical way according to the situation where we are moving towards the real Urhan becomes more interesting when this fact matters because it is the fact where humility, where evidence is thin. The real Urhan becomes more interesting when the critic complains, when the plot leans on familiar traps, sudden rescues. Urhan is in a political connection with many other tribes' chiefs. Urhan wants other tribes to collect our work under the banner of a one nation, a one Turk nation that can give a tough time to the other many nations, Byzantines, Mongols, always in a fear with Urhan Bey. They are taking the thing seriously when Urhan and his team unity. The soldiers are moving fast. When the things are quiet in a way, when things are quiet in a direction what Urhan Bey wants. So things positively. If you like the video, kindly like the video and subscribe our channel for more updates related to Kurlush Urhan series. Kurlush Urhan is a story of vision, story of dreams, story of consistency, how the vision is carried through generations. Kurlush Urhan opens at a point where a dream has become too large for one tent. Usman Bey, the Kurlush Urhan story, inspired the thinking with weight, not noise, because Urhan is not entering an empty stage. It is carrying the vision of his grandfather and his father. This is why the journey from Kurlush Usman to Kurlush Urhan should feel like passing from a flame, from the hand of founder, from the hand of a keeper. Usman Bey dreamed with courage of a man who saw a state before others could see it. Urhan must continue with the discipline of a man who knows that dream without order dies. Also, the latest episode pushed him through grief, through romance, and many betrayal and dangers. But the deeper road is still Bursa and beyond. The real Ottoman rise did not happen in the short. It happened through pressure, prayers, alliances, and also the use of unique script should throw out close not with empty triumph. Also, but with Urhan looking at the land and understanding that every victory is only another question from Allah. Know what I have given you the power. Every generation inherits a dream. Yet every generation must pay from the dream in its own language. The scene can open with awareness, trapped between birth, faith, loyalty, and longing, then move toward Buran, remembered as a wound inside the army. because outside world and the inner world must speak together. The thinking is clear. The pattern is different. The aim and the goal is one. The loyal Alps and the soldiers are marching towards a victory. In the series line, Urhan cannot build a lasting order by revenge alone. He needs law, strong enough to punish and mercy wise, and prevent chaos. The sharper truth is that the drama must connect with emotions, with the real pressure. Urhan Age not leave it floating as isolated episode. Historically, Bursa was the key that turned into a frontier Balak into a more settled political house. The thinking connects with emotion with the real pressure of Urhan's age. Not leave it floating as an isolated episode. Historically, Bursa was the key city turned a frontier Balak settled in historian its fall in 1326, while some give it 1324. 1324, the year when the Usman Bey passed away, when the first Ottoman founder passed away, and then moved territory inherited towards Urhan Bey. When Urhan Bey felt his shoulders heavy, a balanced criticism, and I would say that the fact historians' connection with Kurlus Usman is becoming only a chain of duels and betrayals. The strongest connection of Kurlus Usman is not only bloodline, but the question of whether Usman Bey dream can survive Usman's absence. The best scenes in this kind of drama are not the loudest one. They are the scenes where duty becomes heavier than fear. Tawakkal means trying camel first and trusting Allah. Urhan must plan as well as pray. For a viewer who wants faith, logic, and history together, it is the best time to seeing the series in a distant way. According to the many historians, Urhan Bey wants his victories with his team. A man becomes while defeating him. He should measure every alliance carefully, because early Ottoman history was full of temporary friends, dangerous companions, dangerous neighbors, and opportunities hidden inside weakness. This is how historical drama becomes useful. It entertains, but it also asks viewer to think. In the end, the best Kurlus Urhan should not treat history like a museum label or thinking about the pattern of entertainment. History should not keep separate from the real history. Series should follow the pattern of historical hints. Even though there is a touch of entertainment with the characters like who are physically and mentally not available in history. These are real and fictional characters. Fiction should add it, but it's not like that. We cannot ignore the history completely. It should bold both. It should let the viewer thrill of the horse charge, the fear inside the city, the tears in the palace, the patience of the siege, and also the weight of the council, and the fear of standing before Allah with power in one's hand. It should show the Usman gave Orhan dream also, but gave Orhan a test. Bursa. The victory of Bursa kind at a separate way, and it make a more strong impact on the state of Ottoman. Iznik the biggest victory after Bursa, keeping the Orhan in the game and keeping the pressure and the vision and the version outself. If we discuss about the Izmit, Karachi, Byzantine, Romelia, the palace, the tent, the issues of market, the making of mosque, church, and the battlefield. And for the family, that quite a different way. Orhan moving towards Byzantine, Mongols, enemies. And they are thinking quite differently. They are praising, admiring Orhan Bey's strategies. When he was in a war, he was in a different mode. He make political plans. He make political strategies. The things are different when he moves fastly with his armies. His army is strong. He motivates when they are down. He kept moving when he is alone. He take some kind of bold decisions. And he should become only a politician. The story loses its soul. But if he becomes just a builder, then audience can understand why this age mattered. When the series moved from Usman to Orhan, it is likely moving from away. The whole meaning of victory change. The mood can be built through Buran remembered as a wound inside the army, while Orhan's hand resting near a sword he does not rush to draw reminds us his victory, his history always made the people, not by scenery alone. In the series, Yeet, the son of Shaheen Shabe, is more useful as a warning about the ego that as a simple way, a simple enemy, a plain opponent, because ambition inside the camp is often worse than danger outside the wall. How the Yeet Bey was connected towards Orhan Bey. He was the follower of Orhan Bey. How Fatma Khatun hate or a Fatma Khatun rejection changed the scenario of positive to negative the Yeet Bey character. Also Flavius changing his identity day by day. From the start, how Flavius, the strong Byzantine commander, turned and disguised himself in the character of Akchora, the merchant, and then moves towards Avernus Bay. That is simply things, ambition, and outside in a language of drama. Drama must connect this emotion with the real pressure of Orhan age. Not leave it floating as an isolated episode. Historically, Iznik, known to Byzantines as Nikia, came under Ottoman control in 1331 and carried deep religious and political memory because consuls of early Christianity had met there. There are a lot of unities. Romans and Catholics. We can say the Catholics unite with Romans. Also, we can say under the things matter after 1324 when Urhan Bey conquered without any kind of bloodshed Bursa, the biggest victory in Ottoman time. But the Nikia, the Iznik in 1331 is not a less than a Bursa. This fact matters because it stopped the story from becoming only a chain of duels and betrayal. The historian watches the show with two eyes. One eye enjoys the scene, while the other asks what kind of memory the scene is creating. The horse can carry a man to the gate, yet cannot decide whether he deserves to enter. Shora gives the consul scene moral weight because a leader who never listens soon becomes a prisoner of his own certainty. For a viewer who wants faith, logic, and a touch of history together, the strongest version of this scene would let Urhan ask not simply how to defeat his enemy, but what kind of man he becomes while defeating him. He should measure every alliance carefully, because early Ottoman history was full of temporary friends, dangerous neighbors, and opportunities hidden inside weaknesses. That is Urhan worth watching, because he carries a sword in one hand and straight in another hand. A simple viewer can change the things quite differently. Horror sees enemies, sees banners. But the deeper story is about responsibility. Imagine Fatma standing between love and family honor. Imagine Malan Hatun measuring every word like a judge. Between these two images, we can find a peace. How Fatma Hatun, how Flavius, and how Yeet. This triangle is quite impressive. People are enjoying these scenes. People are loving the hate and love two sides of Eid Pay. While the connection of the couple like Fatma and Avernus Pay, Fatma and Flavius are quite interesting. People never want to let it go because they are highly skillful at the performing their roles. It is quite a different story. It is quite a different game. They are looking for honor. Imagine Fatma and Malanatun measuring every word like a judge. Between these two images, the story finds its pulse. In the series line, the movement from the tribe to state in a real heart of Urhan era. From an Islamic angle, the drama must connect this emotion with the real pressure of Urhan age, not leave it floating as an isolated episode historically. Bursa was the key city that turned a frontier Balak to more a political house. Repeated betrayals, critics, age, familiar traps, trap inside the trap. That The hadith about the intention about reminds viewer at the same time may lift it from justice or for ego. And Allah knows the difference for a viewer who wants faith, logic, and history together. The strongest version of itself, the viewer kindly aligns carefully. Scene would be let Urhan ask not simply how to defeat his enemy, but what kind of man he becomes while defeating him. He should measure every alliance carefully, because early Ottoman history was full of temporary friends, dangerous neighbors, and opportunities hidden inside weaknesses. The viewer should leave the scene feeling the victory is only half the matter. The other half is accountability before Allah and people. This generation is totally different. The series line Malan Hatun, that is like Halima Hatun, Ganja Hatun, Fatma Hatun, the pillar, the first Ottoman princess, and Asporcha Hatun. She is politically involved in the campaign or the marriage with Urhan Bey. His father, Emperor Andronikos, wanted a strong alliance with Urhan Bey. Although at the start, Asporcha hates Urhan Bey, hates the plan, hates the strategies of Urhan Bey. But at the end of the day, Asporcha was connected with Urhan, made marriage, rivalries, mercy, loss, and birth. At the time, the drama must connect this emotion with the real pressure of Urhan's age, not leave it floating as an isolated episode. Historically, it is connected with Bursa and also connection with the key city turned frontier Balak. Supporters praise the scale, the music, costumes. A conquest without discipline becomes distraction. But discipline without courage becomes sleep. Tawakkal means trying to camel the trusting Allah. Urhan must plan the things. Urhan Bey stand at the edge of two worlds, and the edge is sharper than the sword in the series. The scene can open with Malan Hatun measuring every word like a judge, then move towards the call to prayer floating over a camp that has not slept, because the outside world is inner world must be speak together. In the series line, Fatma's emotional line with Avernus, Flavius, Acchora can be powerful if it is written in the text of truth rather than decoration beside a war. Malan Hatun, the state under Malan, how she motivates the people, how she motivates the Kai tribe, how she guides, how Fatma helps, how Pala Hatun and Malan Hatun connection in Kurlish Usman series and Kurlish Urhan is without Bala. That was quite disappointing from the series director and writer, and how the audience, the viewers, are shocked when there are no Usman Bey, the real Burak Usman Bey, and no Bala Hatun. Another character were taken to the series in place of Orhan Bey, in place of Usman Bey. New characters, new thinking actually make quite a different things. Orhan Bey stand at the edge of the world because Usman Bey's shadow following Orhan Bey. That balance is where Orhan Bey can change the emotional saga, Ottoman saga, emotional pull of Orhan Bey stepping out of Usman Bey's shadow. The return of Ottoman saga is stepping out that reckless fighter and cold politicians. Shura gives the council scene more weight because it connects with the authority and it connects with the duty of justice. Justice, where justice is served, there is no problem in other things. The balance where Orhan kept the fighter, the prisoners. Orhan asks simply defeat enemy. But what kind of man he becomes while defeating him? He should measure every alliance carefully, because at that time the sincere friends are even not loyal, because they made connection with other Balak. They are greedy. But the strong like Boran Bey, Shargotai Bey, Turhan Bey, Abdurrahman Alp, and a Ghazi Alp, that kind of the army and the soldiers are quite interesting. And the beauty of this story is not about only son taking the place of his father. This visual terms Alauddin Ali Bey carrying reason like a lamp in a storm should not be used only a decoration. It should prepare the viewer for a banner moving like a living promise. In this serial's line, Aspurcha is dramatic because she carries places politically, Byzantine memory, and the fear of becoming a pawn. In the logic of history, the drama must connect this emotion with the real pressure of Orhan age, not leave it floating as the isolated episode. The connection of Orhan Bey with family, Malan Hatun, mother, brother Orhan Bey, and the wife of Orhan Bey, and Alauddin Ali Bey, wife of Alauddin Ali Bey, Gonja Hatun, how she politically background with Karasi Bey or Mehmed Bey, connection with Garmian Balak, Byzantine memory, and the fear of becoming a pawn. These are the things where the latest episode make an audience feel like a story is no longer only a siege outside Bursa, but a siege inside Orhan itself. Orhan himself want to sacrifice the many things. Firstly, it was a patient like their character description. It was a thing that the mood can be built through Urhan's and resting now with the passion of Usman. If Kurlush Usman was the fire that announced a state, Kurlush Urhan must be a hand protects that fire from wind. In visual terms, the silent face of the Usman as old age meets unfinished duty should not use only as decoration. It should prepare the viewer for the road outside the Sogot to Bursa. In the series Lime, the lead actor must show a man who is young enough to burn the mature and burn the early young character of the major and lead actor. The lead actor must show a man who is young enough to burn and mature enough to build. This is why the drama must connect with emotions, with the real pressure of Urhan's age, not live in floating Byzantine succession. Characters such as Saros, Flavius, Aspurcha, and Yeath work best when they reveal real pressure around Bursa, Byzantium. Also succession and palace political, not when they exist only for the shock. This gives the writer chance to move beyond ordinary hero worship and speak their hero. Also keeping the latest episode. The road can be built through Urhan's hand resting near a sword he does not rush to draw, while the narrow water the later open. Actually, things are quite working differently and also moving towards the matters most Urhan Bey taken seriously. In the series, where the story of Kurlush Urhan begins with a weight, not noise. He is a shadow that asks Urhan whether the dream can stand without its first dreamer. For the reason, the drama must connect his emotion with real pressure of Urhan age, not floated, isolated episode. Historically, Esmet and the old Nicomedia followed in 3037, helping the Ottomans tighten their hold northwestern. The northwestern episodes battlefield written only in dynasties because marriages, grave, tents also shaped in battlefield. The question is not only wins today, but what kind of order will exist after the winning is done. The hadith about the intention, the title, logic, faith, history, together strongest vision. In this scene, would Urhan let ask not simply how to defeat his enemy, but what kind of man he becomes while defeating him. He should measure every alliance carefully, because early Ottoman history was full of temporary friends and spies and fake peoples. They make the contribution with the passage of every generation inherits a dream. Yet very young generation must pay for the dream. Is it on? The scene can open with a banner moving like a living promise, then move towards Saros using the walls of Bursa as if its stone steady, actually the bringing war end. and Urhan Bey taking the Bursa, the complete command of Bursa. A simpler viewer may see banners, horses, and animes. But the deeper story is about responsibility. Imagine rain on the stones of Byzantine wall, and then imagine Avernus trapped between birth, loyalty, faith, deceivedness, and longing. Between these two images of the story finds its pulse. In the series line, may viewer love the return of his world to new things. Taking floating and isolate episode, historically Bursa was turned a factor inherits the Nicaea. Iznik, known as Byzantine as Nicaea, is the earliest victory of Urhan Bey after Bursa. Urhan Bey states at the edge of two sharper blades. If Kurlush Urhan should not give a proper thinking about the statue announced a state, Kurlush Urhan must be hand that protects the fire from wind. In visual terms, the market of the city waiting for new masters should not be used as a thinking pattern of exactly what Urhan Bey is thinking. Every generation inherits a dream, yet every generation must pay for the dream in its own language. The scene, Romelia, Sogod, Bursa, Izmit, political, economical, critical, all these connections connect with the tent, benefit with his companions moving forward and taking risks of what they are marching towards the victories. Assalamu alaikum and hi guys, for the new updates related to Kurlush Urhan series, as the series is passing with its prime time, we are moving to explain the whole episode and whole scenario in the series in with latest updates. Hope you like the video. Kindly press the like button and subscribe our channel for more updates. The enemies will not stop because enemies always play tricks. Urhan Bey, who is moving towards new aim with the passage of time, the city will not open by itself. The roads will not carry spies. The markets will still fear fire. The Alps will still want fast revenge. The women will still carry pain behind calm faces. Women's struggle is not ignored in case of that particular things in the role of Ottoman state. The Alps will still want fast revenge. The women still carry pain behind calm faces. Urhan Bey knows all of his. He walks anyway. His steps are steady. His eyes stay open. The wind moves across the land and the new rules begin to take the shape. We are moving with the passage of time and with the victories that carries Urhan Bey in different way. Aspurcha's courage, Nilofar's patience, Fatma watchful heart, Malana Hatun's hard wisdom, Alauddin Ali Bey cave for order, Avernus Bey tested loyalty, and Burhan Bey's memory all stand inside this road. The story is not held by only one man. The state is not considered or justified with just a one-man show. It is surrounded by different wisdom, intellectual, and many things. The story is moving with Urhan Bey leading it, and but many hearts carry it. Many intellectuals, many scholars, and many craftsmen, and many soldiers outside the palace are taking the responsibility of the state. That makes the rise of the house feel human. It also makes the coming state feel earned. Behind him stand the people who suffered. Some lost family, some lost homes, some lost be the safe feeling once had, and many more are suffered in that particular things. He began with the pain in chest. By the time final road opens and some can build, no Urhan Bey cannot return every lost thing. No ruler can do that. But he can build a peace that makes the next loss harder for the enemy to cause. That is why his work matters. He is not chasing glory only. He is building shelter for many lives. By the time final road opens, the viewer should feel one clear thing: Urhan Bey has changed. He began with pain in chest. Now he carries a plan in his hands. He is thinking differently. He is thinking like a pure leader who is tested by many enemies. The pain is still there. The plan is further stronger. He is making his authority and announcing himself in a different way. That is the shape of his growth. He is still a warrior, but he is no longer only a warrior. He is becoming the building or builder his people need. A memory of Usman's stay over the road like a high sky. It does not crush Urhan Bey. It guides him. A son can honor his father without copying every step. Urhan Bey must respect the old path and still finds his own. This is why the story feels alive. It is not only about keeping a name, it is about providing that the name can carry new duty. The enemies tries to make every wound look larger than hope. He spreads fear through letters, whispers, and hidden hands. He wants friends to doubt friends. He wants mothers to doubt sons. He wants soldiers to doubt commands. Urhan Bey fight with a stronger kind of quiet. Urhan Bey's bravery is admired by his enemies. Enemies always said strategically Urhan Bey is never been defeated. Through his young age, he is always an active and a passive learner of that kind, making strategies against his enemies. With the opinions of his brother Alauddin Ali Bey, he was more stronger. The memory of Usman Bey stays over the road like a high sky. It does not crush Urhan Bey. The responsibility of Usman Bey on the shoulders of Urhan Bey is more likely motivating him and pushing him towards new victories. Urhan Bey always carries the dream of his father. He always think about carrying this passion, this devotion and dedication with both hands and struggling many times but never give up. Urhan Bey's always think about his father and his grandfather Arthur Ghazi. These things guides him. A son can honor his father without copying every step. It is always challenging. People challenge that. People think he is the copy of his father, but it was never. Usman Bey gave him the direction in which direction Urhan Bey was moving. That was far away thinking from Usman Bey. Usman Bey gives the light to Urhan Bey. Usman Bey believe in his living life, and that's why he makes him sultan in his duration. He thinks the state is in a safe hands. This is why the story alives. Urhan Bey must respect the old path and still finds his own. It is not only about keeping a name, it is about proving that the name can carry new duty. The enemy tries to make want look larger than hope. But Urhan Bey never give up on hope. He believed there is every time a path when all the dark is appeared, but there is always a light to give him a guide. That's why he never feel dismay. He spread fear through letters, whispers, and hidden hands. He wants friends to doubt friends. He wants mother to doubt sons. He wants soldier to doubt commands. His soldiers are proactive. They always know about the traps of his enemy. If you want to conquer the world, if you want to conquest the main castles of his enemies, you have to be a proactive. You have to think one step ahead before your enemies. He wants soldiers to doubt commands. Urhan Bey fights this with a stronger kind of quiet. He does not answer every whisper. He lets truth gather weight, then he strikes where he weakest. He knows the weaknesses of his enemies, because knowing the enemies is first strategy. Before going to any war, before going to chase any kind of enemy, first he makes plan against enemy. He first realizes how his enemy behave in every situation. What if he will be trapped there? The state side grows through small actions. A guard is placed at the right gate. A spy is watched without noise. A market is promised safety. A poor man is heard. A road is cleared. A tax is made fair. A soldier is stopped from hurting the weak. He always tells his soldiers that they did not give a hurt to his weakest soldiers. He always thinking about the poor. These small actions shows what Urhan Bey is building. The state is not born only in battle, it is born in order. That is the main point which Urhan Bey follows. It is not only with the sword fighting, it is not only with the passion, it is not only with the fight or battle, going to battle, making strategies, making plans when there is no one around, taking the opinion from his friends, his companions, his viziers, his chiefs, making unity with other tribes. That was the main point. Knowing the political side of Urhan Bey is more stronger than anything else. The family side stays painful because love is not easy in ruling house. Nilofer can love Urhan Bey and still fear his choices. Malan Hatun can protect her son and still pushes him towards duty. That was the sacrifice needed for the state. That was the sacrifice, that was the giving something away for the state, pushing towards the duty. Mothers are worried about their son. Soldiers' mothers are actually worried when there are martyrs, when they are going to battle, when they are going to highest achieve things. But Fatma can be young and still carry a heavy task. We can clearly see how things moving fastly and slowly. In actually loneliness, a Spurcha can be in danger and still keep our own strength. These women do not stand beside the story, they stand inside its heart. This is actually sacrifice is needed wherever it is demanded. The rescue path stays tense because they always think about every side as peace, and everything has its own price. If you are going to for the victories, if you want to conquer the land, if you want to attack on your enemies, you have to pay the price. You have plan A, B, C. Because if you are going to be in a trap of enemies, if enemies knows your plans, because there are always spies inside you, you have to be a proactive, you have to be taking major decisions. Your decision can cost many lives. So if Orhan Bey moves too fast, Aspurcha may be harmed. If he waits too long, the enemies grow bold. If he trusts the wrong guide, the road turns into trap. If he trusts no one, he walks blind. So he chooses a middle way. He checks each sign. He sends loyal eyes ahead. He keeps his anger quiet until the right hour. The heart of the story is simple. Orhan Bey must save the people he loves. He must also guide people who do not yet trust each other. He must hear angry men without becoming angry like them. He must hear frightened people without letting fear lead him. This makes his road hard. It also makes him worthy and of the road. A ruler is not tested only by enemies. He is tested by the fear of his own house. Orhan Bey reaches the last light with more silence than pride. He has not lost his pain. He has learned where to place it. He has not ended danger. He has learned how to read it, knowing about the dangerous things, knowing about the people who supports you, who are against you, who are making plans against you, who are like the inner and outer different. You have to make strategies. He must be frightened people. A perfect ruler is more than ended a letting fear end. This makes his road hard. He also make worthy road. A ruler is not tested by only enemies. He is tested by fears of own house. Orhan Bey reached the last light with more silence than pride. He has not lost his pain. He has learned where to place it. He has not ended danger. He has learned how to read it. He has not become a perfect ruler. He has become a man who knows that rule is heavy trust. A sword can win, a road just must keep it open. The lesson is plain. The things are easy if looking from outside. If we go to the major details, things are not like that easy. State making turns scattered effort into lasting order. This is not only background. It changes what Urhan Bey must do at the last sunrise. A brave leader can break an enemy line. A wise leader keeps people safe after the line is broken. Urhan Bey is moving from bravery to wisdom. That moment in the heart is his story. Then the builder steps forward. The change is small, but it opens the next path. A look becomes a warning. A broken mark becomes a clue. A short answer becomes a proof of lie. Urhan Bey does not need the whole truth at once. He gathers it piece by piece. He knows a trap is bitten by patience before it is bitten by a blade. The enemy understands fear. That is why he uses it. He wants Urhan Bey to strike without thought. He wants the all to doubt each other. He wants the woman to feel alone. He wants the people to think no ruler can protect them. This is not only war with swords, it is war with hearts. Urhan Bey answers both kind of attack. The things when going in a different way. Different strategies needed. If your plan A is failing, you have to go for the plan B. If people are like showing their sports for you, these peoples can be against you. You have to be clear in your thoughts. You have to explain everything clearly with proper explanation and proper paperwork. You have to kept records for your future generations. Usman Bey always thinks differently than Urhan Bey. Usman Bey always came with the plans with aggression, while Urhan Bey, with more than sword, he gave the political punch more than his father. The things are different in a different era. He carries love, he carries law, and also carries loss and the duty together. Nilofer feels in this way a quite different. Her face stays still, but her heart is still not. She knows love can be used as a chain. Malana Khatun, Asporcha Khatun, and Nilofer Khatun's character cannot be ignored. If you think about the sister of Urhan Bey, the first princess of Ottoman Empire, Fatma Khatun, can she never be ignored? She also knows duty can feel like a knife. Yet, she does not leave the room to men alone. She watches, she thinks, she protects what she can. Her silence is not empty. It carries pain and wisdom together. Near the last sunrise, gold light touches tent and stone. Urhan Bey feels the weight of the hour. The next road is heavy but clear. The men want a quicker answer. The women want a safe answer. Urhan Bey knows both needs are real. A ruler cannot live only with speed. He must also protect the weak. He must know how to speak. He must know when to speak. He must know when to stay quiet. Everything is required for the great planner and a great leader. These responsibilities are not minor, these are challenging. And this is why this moment feels strong. The danger is outside, but the test is inside the heart. The enemy is near, but not always seen. That makes the danger better. A hidden danger makes every smile strange. It makes every closed door sharp. It makes every friendly friend word needs a second look. Urhan Bey look everything differently. And everything Urhan Bey understand every time. He trusts people. He does not sleep inside trust. He tests it. Always loyalty is tested. And giving punch to the disloyal. And also spies get the revenge. After this, power learns to travel. The age changes. The Alps stand straighter. Malan Hatun watches her son with fear and pride. Nilofer hides a tear before it can weaken. Fatma steps forward towards the next sign. Aspurcha holds her breath in a palace, in a place far from safety. Every heart moves towards the same storm. Ganja Hatun and Alauddin are never be ignored. They are working for the state silently. Alauddin Ali Bey never wanted any kind of rank from the state. He never gets benefit from the state. Always planning. Always thinking about the scholars. Always thinking about the infrastructure of the state. He always plan about the things that are unfinished in a state. The dream of a state begins is in a small work. A seal on paper matters, a fair tax matters, a safe bridge matters, a market that opens without fear matters. These things are not as loud as war, but they last longer than a shout. Urhan Bey starts to understand this. His father's road gave him a name. His own road must give the people a system. They understand that authority must travel without them. Urhan Bey sees the meaning behind it. He knows a house can fall from a crack inside the wall. He calls the elder closer. He calls the young Alps to patience. He asks Malan Hatun to speak when pride becomes too hot. Her words do not need beauty. They need weight. When she speaks, men remember the cost of every flag and every road. Taking the trust of your soldiers and Alps in a difficult time is the main characteristic of your commander. If you are taking the flag above from your enemies, if you want to conquer the land of your enemies, you have to be trusted into your Alps. You have to clear about your plans. You have to share the things that when it will be started, when it will be finished, and what kind of loss we can face towards or in front of Alps. Thinking differently and thinking uniquely and a one step ahead from your enemies make you a successful leader. That is where they understand the authority must travel without them. Orhan Bey sees the meaning behind it. He knows a house can fall from a crack inside the wall. He calls elder closer. He calls a sealed table waxed softened near a small flame. Alauddin Ali Bey and Orhan Bey stays close to a danger. Alauddin Ali Bey never cheated his brother Orhan Bey. He is the main thing that in the state of Orhan Bey or in the era of Orhan Bey, there is never things like inside the family takes a big problem. A mark can bind men who are far away. The problem is clear, but the answer is not easy. Orhan Bey does not rush his men. He listens first. If we think about the Orhan Bey, if we describe the qualities of Orhan Bey, he was a great listener. He listens the plan from his Major. He listens the plan of his a common person of his tribe, a common person, a craftsman, a sword maker can give the better plan sometime. Orhan Bey, that's why listen everyone. He always listen the things and makes plan. He looks at the ground, he looks at the guards, he looks at the people who speak too fast. In his house, one wrong move can open a door for enemy, no doubt. A one step that can destroy you. There is no technology. You have to be conscious and be cautious when there are a lot of people around you. When you are taking opinions, when you are making a jirga or making plans against your enemies, you have to be aware where you have to be trusted, where you have to be make plans, and what kind of people knows about your strategies. He thinks about, so the scene moves with care. Every small signs matter. The lesson is plain. Roads are the ports increase the value of towns. This is not only in background. It changes what carters and guards must do at the port road. A brave leader can break an enemy line. A wise leader keeps people safe after the line is broken. Orhan Bey is moving from bravery to wisdom. That moment is a heart of this story. So the horizon grows wider. The story moves forward without noise. This is not a tale where every pain needs same cry. The pain changes shape. Sometimes it is sword. Sometimes it is silent room. Sometimes it is law written before dawn. Orhan Bey take each shape carries in a next step. The enemy understands fear. That is why he uses it. He wants Orhan Bey to strike without thought. He wants the Alps to doubt each other. He wants the woman to feel alone. He wants the people to think no ruler can protect them. This is not only war with swords. It is the war with hearts. Orhan Bey must answer both kinds of attack. They speak of prices, storms, and soldier. Awareness understand this kind of pressure. A border man is often judged by old names and old roads. But the true test is choice. When danger rises, A man shows where to stand. Avernus does not need a long speech. His eyes is sword, and his silence can tell the truth before his tongue does. Avernus' character is liked everyone. Before Avernus Bay, he was Flavius. Flavius, the love of Fatima. When there is name of Fatima, it comes with Flavius. When there is a name of Flavius, it is surely understood by the audience, it is with the Fatima. Because these things are moving quite in a different way, a very strategically. The things are passing, the days are passing. The old characters are carried by the things. The things quite differently. The price, the port road holds many voices, and memory stays. The cart whiles and shine with sea mud. Carters and guards, hares, hope and doubt together. Distant trade pulls the story beyond the hills. Some want revenge, some want peace, some only want bread for their children. Burhan Bey cannot answer all of them with sword. A sword can't stop a man. It cannot feed a market. It cannot heal every fear. So his mind moves beyond battle. He begins to think like a builder. Burhan Bey's memory stays near Burhan Bey. The character of Burhan Bey is never ignored. He was an advisor. He was a great archer. His bravery, his skills, his mindset, his loyalty can never be described in words. He was loyal to his Bey, Usman Bey. Then he shows loyalty to the generation of Usman Bey, towards Burhan Bey, with Alauddin Ali Bey, with family like Malan Hatun, with his friends Jarkotai Bey, Turhan Bey. That was the moment when people think about the characters and loving it. He was a loving character, like his Bey's father, Arthur Ghazi's friend, Bamsi Bey, Turgat Bey. These are the characters that attached the audience and liking the characters of Burhan Bey. Burhan Bey's memory stays near Burhan Bey long. It does not need to be named again and again. It lives in the past before an order. It lives in the hard look of the Alps. It lives in the promise that loyalty will not be wasted. Burhan Bey knows a dead friend cannot be brought back, but he can make sure death teaches the living. The big thing, Burhan Bey never spares his enemies, because if one of his friend or one of his Alp is killed or martyred by his enemies, the revenge will be taken. A positive revenge, a sweet revenge, or a lethal revenge. Revenge is never ignored. That was the factor where Ottoman's loyalty towards his soldiers, towards his common men increased. People that were trusted and giving their lives in the name of Ottoman state. Then the flock becomes part of strategy. The change is small, but it opens the next path. A look becomes a warning. A broken mark becomes a clue. A short answer becomes proof of a lie. Burhan Bey does not need the whole truth at once. He gathers it piece by piece. He knows a trap is bitten by patience, before it is bitten by a blade. A dream of state begins with a small work. We cannot achieve the big things in a one night. We have to be a patient. We have to be start with the small work. A seal is on a matter. A faith text matters. The things quite differently. And always a safe bridge matters. A market that opens and without fear matters. These things are not as loud as war, but they last longer than a shout. Urhan Bey starts to understand this. His father's road gave him a name. His own road must give the people a system. They know the land through sound and smell. Nilofer feels in this quiet way. Her face stays still. Her heart is not still. She knows about the things and a market that opens without a fear. These things are not as loud as war, but they last longer than a shout. So she knows loves can be used as a chain and a particular way connection with others. She also knows the duty can be feel like a harmful danger for the people, but they last longer than the shout. Urhan Bey starts to understand this. His father's road give him a name, so his own road must give him people a system. They know the things, they know the land through small sound inside the sheep pastures, bell rings, and also the things are quietly, softly. Bell rings softly under white sky. Shepherds is not alone. Even when the room feels empty, raiders may take what families need to live. The shadow of Boran Bey is still with them. His loss is not only sorrow, it is a warning. The enemy is not playing a small game. Urhan Bey sees this. He carries the pain into his orders. He does not let it become wild. He turns it into care. That is how grief becomes strength. The lesson is plain. Belief shaped courage and public meaning. This is not only background, it changes what old women and soldiers must do all the shrine. A brave leader can break an enemy line. A wise leader keeps people safe after the line is broken. Urhan Bey is moving from bravery to wisdom. That movement is the heart of his story. The things are changing quite differently, moving fastly, taking a pauses, taking a break after this hope. Hope stands beside fear. The age changes, the Alp stand straighter. Malana Hatun watches her son with fear and pride. If Malana Hatun thinks he loves more her son, then definitely he will never send his son towards war. He always kept her beside her. But the pride, but the training, but the strongness of those women are never be explained in words. They take risks for the pride. They take risks for the people who are believing them. That was the things changes. Nilofer hides a tear before it can be weakened the room. He never shows their weaknesses. Also, Fatma Hatun stepped forward to the next sign. Fatma Hatun's love for his life, for her life, but never be ignored by the state. She thinks always for the benefit of the state. State can be never ignored. The purpose of making any step, even her personal thinking, there should be a benefit of the state, benefit of the Kai tribe, benefit of the Ottoman people. And also keep thinking about how the other tribes chief are behaving with Kai tribe. So Aspurchas hold her breath in a place far from safety. Every heart moves toward the same storm. The enemy understood fear. Urhan Bey must know the answer of both kind of attack. He wants the women to feel alone. He wants the people to think no ruler can protect them. This is not only for the war with swords, it is war with the hearts. War with sword is too easy, but political moves that you are conquering the land without any kind of use of sword or use of any kind of weapons. You are taking with your strategies. You feel more proud. You feel more confident with this. If we talk about the victory of Bursa, a long siege, but it never be a conquered. At the end of the day, the deal was made. Without any kind of bloodshed, Bursa was conquered by Urhan Bey in the region of Usman Bey. Usman Bey was very happy. Usman Bey always wanted to conquer the Bursa. But Bursa was conquered by the name of Urhan Bey. But Urhan Bey gives the gift to his father. He makes strategies. He makes a long siege. He closes all the paths that provide the supply of food towards Bursa. After a long siege, his enemies and the emperor of Constantinople gave Bursa to Urhan Bey with paper deal. There was no bloodshed. That was the big victory without of bloodshed. Bursa was taken, and it was the dream of Urhan Bey. It was a dream of Usman Bey. That was passion. That was dedicated. That was the plan. That was the thinking behind it. And it makes people to think. It makes his enemies understand fear. His enemies understand the political campaign and strategies of Urhan Bey with that move. He wants Urhan Bey to strike without thought. He wants the all to doubt each other. He wants the women to feel alone. He wants the people to think no ruler can protect them. This is not only war with swords, it is war with hearts. Urhan Bey must answer both kind of attacks. Urhan Bey always make plans with his thinking strategy. He always uses the campaigns with their prayers. There is also a political, the sword, the fighting, the strategies, the plans, but always the God help. Their prayers meet the sound of weapons. Urhan Bey always take guidance, always take assistance, always take help from Allah. Like his father, like his grandfather. He connects with nature. He always think this is actually they are making the efforts for making the God happy. Urhan Bey sees the meaning behind it. He knows a house can fall from a crack inside the wall. A small crack can big things can create a big thing. A small hole can uh, sink the big ship. This is, he calls the elder closer. He calls the young Alps to patience. Patience is needed when there is a siege, when the Alps are not fighting, when the Alps are struggling for the food, for the water, there is a cold, there is a lot of, you can say, the hotness of summer, the temperature touches to 55 or 60, then the patience is needed. Patience with bravery, with perseverance, holding your Alps, patience, keeping them warm, keeping them ready for the next goal, make you more stronger. It always thinks. He asks Malanatun to speak when pride becomes too hot. Malanatun speaks towards Sky tribe, people in the absence of Urhan Bey or Usman Bey. People believe her. People think she is the only who is taking the things quite seriously. So they need weight. When she speaks, men remember the cost of every flag and every road. The road brings them to the hill shrine. Cloth strips move in the wind. Old women and soldiers understand that the hour is sharp. People ask heaven for safety. While men plan war, a small mistake can cost of a life. A loose word can start a fight. Urhan Bey places men where they need it. He sends eyes to the road. He keeps trusted people near the door. He does not explain everything to everyone. A leader must protect the plan until the plan is ready. Keeping the plan secret is also a plan. Because if everyone is knowing your plan, then definitely there is no plan, and definitely there will be a problem when it happens. No one in this part should speak too much. Short lines carry more force. Urhan Bey can say one sentence and change the room. Malan Hatun can warn with one look. Yes, this was the thing. When there is a conflict, there is a thinking, there is a problem. When people needed a warning from their leader, they need a look, a strong, a horror look, a angry face. This can change the every matter. Nilofer can ask one plain question and break a lie. Nilofer's contribution is never ignored. How she adopted the culture, how she adopted a religion, and the things with loyalty is unexplainable. Fatima can give things with a sign and move the search forward. Aspurcha can stay silent, still show courage. So the road enters the room. The story moves forward with noise. This is not a tale where every pain change need same cry. The pain changes shape. Sometimes it is sword, sometimes it is a silent room, sometimes it is the law written before dawn. Urhan Bey takes each shape and carries it into the next step. The dream of a state begins in a small work. A seal on a paper matters. A fair tax matter. A safe bridge matters. A market that opens without a fear matters. These things are not as loud as war, but they last longer than a shout. Urhan Bey starts to sound understand this. His father gave a road map and gave him a name, gave him a dream, so he have to carry this. His own road must be give a people a system. Stories carries a lot of things, a lot of courage, a lot of understanding, the strategies. A dream of a state begins with a small work. A seal on a paper, a fair tax matter, bridges no one talk about too much. That the pain changes shape. Sometimes it is a sword, sometimes it is a silent pain, sometimes it is a hidden diplomatic statements, a warnings. It is a law written before dawn. It takes. The story carries fear. Awareness understand this kind of pressure. A border man is often judged by old names and old road, but a true test is choice. When danger rises, a man shows where he stands. Awareness does not need a long speech. His eyes, his word, and his silence can tell the truth before his tongue does. Awareness character, how it changes from a Byzantine commander, Flavius, towards the commander of Urhan Bey, toward the strong Alp, and after that a strong Bey that contribute in the victories of Romelia. That the chapter how he treated with kind of patience and kind of things that makes him more special. Flavius in the shape, in the disguise of merchant, Akchora, liked by Fatma. Meeting Fatma and Akchora make the series special. People loving their character. How Fatma Hatun loving the Akchora, and how Akchora taking the role of 2 or 3 people. He was Akchora, he was Flavius, he was commander, he was Alp, he was merchant, and at the end of the day, awareness that was unexpected. The caravansary is not a peaceful traveler sleep beside guarded goods. Merchants watch his every face. Strangers bring trade and danger together. Some people hide fear. Some hide lies. Some hide pains. Many people share their stories. Many people keep them secret. Urhan Bey reads them one by one. His anger is still alive, but he holds it to dawn. He has learned that anger can light the road for a moment. It can also burn the house, so he makes his voice calm. Calm does not mean weak. It means ready. Their stories fear far from the roads. Awareness understands this kind of pressure. A broader man is often judged by old names, old passions, old dedication, old roles. But the true test is choice. When the danger rises, a man shows where he stands awareness does not long a speech. A dream of a things begins with particular things. Their hands hold skill warrior needs. Orhan Bey needs sees the meaning behind it. He knows a house can fall from the things that are minor, that are ignorable, but it can create a major impact. He calls the elder closer. He calls Alps to keeping the patients in a difficult time. He tells Malan Hatun to speak proudly when it is needed and speak calmly when the situation required calmness. The things her word do not need beauty. They need the strategical weight. They need the right point. When she speaks, men remember the cost of every flag and every road. The dream of a state begins in a small work. A seal on a paper matter with the matters of taxpayer. That matters bridge a safe market. That fear matters without any kind of strategical move. The things are not loud as the war is going. And at last, shout then last longer. Orhan Bey starts to understand these things. His father gave a vision, a dream, a things that people explain and people think differently. Orhan Bey understand how and when people trusted him and why people have to trust him. He have to come with a different plan. A hidden danger make a smile strange. It makes every closed door in a different way. Each word may not be bait. Nilofer feels this in a silent way. Nilofer's face still there because there is a Spurcha and there is also a Malan Hatun who can kept her silent. But her heart is not still there. She thinks why the deal as made, why the political moves destroying their personal relation with Sultan. Sultan Orhan is taking a big step for his state. He taking the state seriously and experimenting his personal life with the decision making. The truth must be tested. A small change is small change. A many looks becomes a warning. A broken marks become clue. A short answer become a proof of lie. Orhan Bey does not always prove his people his loyalty. His people are automated, knowing the capacity, knowing the loyalty, knowing the potential of their leader. How Orhan Bey wanted all the people to work in a one banner, under the one banner, under one flag, under one purpose. His purpose is definitely Allahi Kalmatullah. How he believes these things work in the favor of Turks, in the favor of Muslims, in the favor of that occupied state on the territory of where Byzantine was strong. He realized there is a space where his purpose can move. The lesson is plain. The truth must be tested. Change even small, but Orhan Bey and prisoner must do not at one prison room. A brave leader can break an enemy line. A wise leader keeps people silent. A safe after the line is broken. Urhan Bey is moving from bravery to wisdom. That moment is a heart of his story. The truth is tested. Humble crafts serve great risk. The age changes. Alps are moving quite different way. They count breaths before moving. Nilofer expressions are changed. His heartbeat is not changed. She knows the things. The silence becomes courage. The change is small. And the humble grave, everything is differently. The dream of a state becomes a matter of purpose. The ride begins before the horse moves. The change is small, but path open to the next door. A look become a strong statement as a warning. A broken marks become a clue for the enemy. These are the strategies, these are the things, the plan, and that kind of plan actually matters where enemies are quite strange behaving. Inside the oat stone, hands touch the same worn rock. Alp is not alone. Even when the rooms is empty, some men speak loyalty but hide doubts. The shadow of Boranbe is still with them. He is not only for the sorrow. He speaks. Someone speak with loyalty. The enemy is not playing a small game. Urhan Bey sees this. He carries the pain into his orders. He does not let it become wild. He turns it into care. That is how grief becomes strength. After this needs teaches him patience. The air changes. The Alp stand are straighter. The last ridge is not peaceful. Morning light touches the light and city camp with a morning move. Everyone is watching everyone face because they are expecting everyone has led to a wider duty. They need motivation. They are feel like enemy is stronger. But a great leader is motivating them with courage. The strength of enemies is not matter. The strength of your team, your Alps is not matter. The thing is matter the most. It is the strategy. It is the plan. It is a plan you make against your enemy. How you will trap, how you will play the safe game with just 10 enemies with a political move. And everything, the rich, he knows the next victory will make him less free and not more. He also burned the house, so he makes his voice calm. Calm does not mean weak. It is a strategical thing. It is, he knows the next victory will make him less free, not more. Awareness understand this kind of pressure. A border man is often judged by old name and old dream because old purpose was a different from the recent purpose. It was polite. It was the thing the enemy understand fear. It was that is why he uses. He wants Urhan Bey to strike without thought. He wants the Alps to doubt each other. He wants the women to feel alone. He wants the people to think no ruler can protect them. This is not only war with sword, it is a war with strategies. It is the war that makes strong people weak. The things are working quite differently. It was the plan showing the class of your enemy. If your enemy is admiring, if your enemy is planning, and he is believing that your other enemy, your leader, your Alps are stronger. If your enemy is praising for you, if your opponent is thinking that your plans are better than theirs, definitely it will be in your favor. It will give you a great thinking. Near the open council, ordinary men stand behind the older. Urhan Bey feels the weight of har. The ruler must be heard by more than chiefs. The men want a quick answer. The women want a safer answer. Urhan Bey knows both needs are real. A ruler cannot live only with speed. He must also protect the weak. He must know when to speak. He must know when to quiet. He must know when to act. And he also should know and should politically warming up your Alps. The enemy understands the fears, striking thoughts, Alps to doubt each other. Women are feeling alone their camps. They are waiting for their Alps, the husbands, the mother are waiting for their sons, the children's. The enemy is near but not always seen. That makes the danger better. A hidden danger makes every smile strange. It makes every closed door sharp. It makes the things Nilofer hides a tear before can weaken the room. Their pain is different, but both serves the same house. Urhan Bey sees the meaning behind it. He knows the house can be shortened, a house can be a fallen with the thinking, with the pain, with the condition, how people are moving, how people are behaving with them, and how the lesson is plain. Oral memory shaped how border people understand themselves. This is not only background. It changes what young Alps must do forest edge. A brave leader can break the things in a different way. Nilofer and Aspurcha are thinking. It is quite a strategical move. Urhan Bey strategy is different. Urhan Bey plans are different. Think positively about the enemies. If your calculation, your analysis, your critical thinking in a right direction, then definitely you are going to win. When definitely you are making a one step ahead from your enemies. If your plan is clear, then you will